But is this a view to what could happen after the Povetkin fight?
What could be instead of the Povetkin? I mean, right now we want to make the Povetkin fight, and Dillian Whyte is one of the people that is saying, "Oh, I'm up for fighting behind closed doors against Povetkin." And what we're trying to do is, a lot of people are saying you can't stage the big fights behind closed doors. I'm trying to take that perception away. I want to stage some of the big fights behind closed doors, because you know what? If we wait too long, we won't have a choice. So let's crack on now. Yes, we're going to lose money. Yes, it's going to be expensive. But we've got to overcome this. We can't just come back from boxing. We'll come back with 2 or 3 sort of pumped up next-gen shows, and then I want to bounce straight in to Whyte against Povetkin. If Ruiz wants to step up, for me, I have absolutely no belief at all that Andy Ruiz will fight Dillian Whyte for $5 million, or at all. Because it's not even Andy Ruiz, it's just that I think they'll probably want to keep him on PBC.
Those were the words of Eddie Hearn, and he relayed a message from Dillian Whyte, and Dillian Whyte stated that he has no problem fighting behind closed doors, and he wants to push for the idea for these big fights to be showcased behind closed doors. As funny as that might sound, he's understanding that the money won't be the same. People are going to lose money. But I feel that if this is the new norm, because a lot of people are looking forward to going back how things used to be, I think a lot of people are scared to go back to the way things used to be. People are afraid to do anything in public now, especially with a large crowd of people. So maybe there won't be a new norm. Just assume, I hope to God it does, but don't get me wrong, maybe this is the new norm. Maybe it won't be the old back to the way things were anymore. You know what I mean? Just because of what we learned from the possibilities of things that could happen now, what's going on now with this pandemic. And what Eddie's saying is, okay, assume it doesn't. So we have to bring back boxing, or if not, we can be the first ones to go out on a limb to be the pioneers to have boxing behind closed doors. You see the draft, okay? And, even the draft, the NFL draft was, digital. So everybody's transitioning, everybody's adapting, okay? And what Eddie is saying, like, hey, you know what? Let's do it, because someone's going to do it. And I think that person that does adapt well and let people know and give people that option, like, hey, we will have boxing, but it won't have a crowd there. It will just be them, the trainers, the cornermen, and the broadcasting company that's filming the whole thing. Of course, the referee and the judges, but I mean, you could space them out. Put those little screens up, just like in the grocery stores, like at the banks, or wherever you go now, right? They can see it just fine through through that plastic screen to protect themselves from, the sweat or what have you. But of course, everybody that's involved would have to be quarantined for about 14 days just to make sure they don't have anything. So yeah, it could happen. But will the broadcasters want that to happen? And see, it goes back to the platform. See, if this is pay-per-view, like Bob Arum was speaking of, pay-per-view is surrounded by the people that buy, like the Live Gate, that pays their fighters. You know what I mean? They don't have a subscription based, and that should let you know already by itself that the pay-per-view isn't what they say it is, because if it's what they say it is, they should be able to pay those fighters with the amount of numbers that they make on pay-per-view. Counterpunch. You see what I'm saying? So, but that's coming from Bob Arum's mouth. So they have doubt with them making that, because if you take away that revenue, they need everything that they're going to make to pay those fighters. Okay, so a lot of people are coming up short. Well, in a DAZN platform, Sky Sports is different because they have cheaper pay-per-view. Well, DAZN and ESPN Plus, those are subscriptions. So if you have that, and if people were able to, take a leap of faith and say, you know what? We're going to have boxers, but the boxers have to agree to it. In this case, Dillian Whyte agrees to fight Povetkin, Andy Ruiz behind closed doors as long as he gets his pay. What's the difference? The difference would be what? Nothing really. Because, yeah, you would lose the money on some of the pay-per-view and definitely the live gate because it won't be an audience. But, you could still make money off the pay-per-view and still make money off the guarantee from the subscriptions that you agreed upon, the amount of money that you get for putting your life on the line. Okay? It won't be in front of an audience, but you could still get killed in the ring with nobody there. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. Maybe a selected few would probably be there, who knows? But I wouldn't recommend that. But what Eddie Hearn's saying, hey, let's do it. We're not doing anything else. So waiting around for particular fights we're waiting for the world to change back. And we probably just didn't realize that the world has changed, if that makes sense. Okay, so we need to adapt, go with nature, and right, and not against it. So it's one of those things. Well, he's willing to do it. We'll see if it can happen. I think it could happen, but I mean, maybe the powers that be will stop it, especially on certain platforms. I don't see anybody on the PBC doing that. And speaking of the PBC, you have those fighters like Andy Ruiz, and he's a PBC fighter, but he definitely has loyalty towards Al Haymon in the PBC. But it's weird with Andy Ruiz because, again, like I said in my previous videos, Andy Ruiz should understand that he didn't get his big break from Al Haymon. He didn't make that money from PBC or Fox or Showtime. He made that money from the Zone, okay? Fighting Anthony Joshua twice, which made him a millionaire. But I think still, he hasn't woke up. I don't know what they do over there. I don't know if Al Haymon has, one hell of a mouthpiece, but, he persuades his fighters to stay there. Either, persuasion or fear, you take your pick. But definitely, it's one of those situations where those guys are loyal, and it could be a situation where those PBC fighters, they don't want to leave, and then the idea, and think about it, the idea of Andy Ruiz going to a DAZN platform to fight again. So what would that mean? That would mean this was the third straight time that Andy Ruiz fights on DAZN. Okay, well, if we just step back and look at the big picture, what is the big picture? The big picture is this. Andy Ruiz left Bob Arum, okay, after Bob Arum pretty much threw him away, didn't get him any fights. He paid himself out of the contract. If you guys don't know that, that's what he did. He was pretty broke after that because that was the money that he made from previous fight purses. Where the hell else he's going to get the money from? He goes to Al Haymon after he pays off his contract with Bob Arum. Then he goes and he gets one fight. That fight is with Dimitrenko, right? He beats Dimitrenko. I think they stop it in the 8th or 9th round. He does his own marketing and reaching out and to Eddie Hearn. He fights Joshua, beats Joshua, fights Joshua again. Joshua beats him. Now, if Dillian Whyte was going to fight Dillian Whyte, that would make him the third straight time. So what's better? 3-1. So he's only fought on a PBC fight card once out of the last 3 fights that he's been in. What does that mean? That means it makes sense what Eddie Hearn was trying to say, right? He was hinting around to something. Well, why would you want your fighter, being Al Haymon, to keep or continue to fight on this platform? That's my fighter. You see what I mean? Because if he would have done that, he's made millions off of DAZN. And pretty much, I don't know what Andy's on, but if I'm Andy Ruiz, I'm going to look around and think, wait a minute. I've fought more on DAZN than I've ever fought on PBC. You know what I mean? I think he has to get used to the PBC protocol, because that Demetrenko fight was not enough to get him acclimated to a standard PBC fight or a standard PBC check. Counterpunch. You see what I'm saying? So I think Eddie's onto something with that. I think Andy, might not have probably been allowed. Maybe Al Heyman has some type of weird stipulation. Yeah, you can fight on that fucking card once. You can fight with somebody else, but don't make a habit of it. You know what I mean? So you don't know. But it's just pretty strange that Andy's saying the offer wasn't real after Eddie Hearn has just explained, like, dude, what the hell? We sent you that. Your manager confirmed it with you, with Tom. You mean all these people don't know? All these people know that you don't know about what your management is discussing for you to get another big fight with 45 mil? Shit, 45 mil, that's the type of money that you replace the money that you spent already. Buying Rolls Royces and cars and houses and shit, right? Mansions. Okay? So, I just don't see it. But then again, it's PBC, so it's some weird stuff going on over there. Look at the Luis Ortiz situation. He didn't know anything, him or his trainer. It's just food for thought, people. So it's a lot of stuff that could be transpiring. But back to Dillian Whyte with fighting Povetkin behind closed doors. I say go for it. I want to see live fighting. We can do live streams. We can stay inside. That's what we've been doing anyhow. And the people that don't go see live fights, what do? You watch it on the Zone or you watch it on pay-per-view. So anyway, that's my take on it. It's my counterpunch. You guys tell me what you think about Eddie Hearn and Dillian Whyte's agreements to fight behind closed doors. Give me your thoughts. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.